The superhero and sidekick trope is used a lot in comics and superhero movies, but something that's not explored as much as a sidekick for a supervillain. How do new supervillains get created? Where do they come from? How do they develop such good training? How do they hold their own against the powerful superheroes? And most importantly, if you were a villain, why would you take on someone as your apprentice who you know one day is going to kill you? Cassandra was snatched in the middle of the night. She was sleeping at the Superhero Academy, fitfully, on her first night. The shadows reached out, the hands creeping along the wooden floor. If the heroes had known that Nightmaster was in the Superhero Academy. But no, of course they didn't know. Cassandra woke up, blinking sleep from her eyes, in a dark room, a basement in the middle of nowhere. What? Where am I? Cassandra said. Shh, a voice said, like the shadow speaking. Cassandra trembled, putting her hands out, getting ready to use her telekinesis to fight. Don't worry, little bug. I'm not going to hurt you, the voice said. Cassandra heard the voice before, but she couldn't quite place it. She looked around the dark, concrete room. It was full of shadows, but it didn't have anything inside it. Where are we? Cassandra said. Did you take me from the Superhero Academy? I was doing you a favor, the voice said. Cassandra saw the shadows flicker for a minute, and she cast telekinetic spells, blasting into the distance. Concrete dust flew up, but the room was still empty. Impatient, are we? A voice said. The shadows in the room moved. Cassandra put her hands over her mouth because she knew the only villain that moved shadows in rooms like this, the only one stealthy enough to sneak into the Superhero Academy. It was you, Cassandra said. Nightmaster, the terrifying villain who had fought against the entire Golden Dawn superhero team, the most powerful superhero team on Earth, formed out of the shadows. Nightmaster was beyond level 5, an incredible villain who could manipulate space-time itself to do his evil deeds, devoted endlessly to what he called the cause. And yet, right now, when Nightmaster formed himself in front of Cassandra, he didn't look scary. He wasn't even tall or particularly assuming. He was a unassuming, slightly balding man in a leather black superhero costume. Not so impressive, Nightmaster said, looking at Cassandra. She was shocked. The man had no irises in his eyes. They were completely black. And when he reached out at her, Cassandra knew that this was her moment. She wouldn't fall to any of Nightmaster's plans. She put her hands out and telekinetically pushed him against the wall. To his surprise, Nightmaster gasped and slammed against the concrete. But Cassandra was shocked. Nightmaster was laughing. Stronger than I thought, Nightmaster said. Good. Cassandra's eyes could only widen before a shadow grabbed her by the ankle and pulled her right up to Nightmaster's face. She looked in the distance. She saw that the shadows had materialized into a scaly black hand. Don't look at that, Nightmaster said. If you see what my shadows really look like, you'll go insane. Nightmaster smiled. Cassandra, again, in front of the balding, unassuming man in the superhero costume, had just one question. Why? Cassandra said. Because you have the potential to be one of the most powerful people on Earth. But if the superheroes have their way with you, you'll just be nothing, Nightmaster said. Cassandra wanted to move. She wanted to fight back and resist, but the question that Nightmaster said was just too enticing. What do you mean? Cassandra said. What does Golden Dawn really do? Fight superpowered threats to humanity? Or keep the world the same? Nightmaster said. Cassandra thought about it for 1 second, 2 seconds. Has the world really changed so much, Nightmaster said, since the advent of superheroes? No. Why is that, Cassandra? He knew her name. Cassandra wasn't surprised, and yet she didn't have an answer. Nightmaster smiled. Because they still operate under the lie that we, as beings with superpowers, have to serve the weak, Nightmaster said. Cassandra remembered the day that she got her powers. Her mom said that she was proud of her, but she remembered her father's eyes, looking at her like she was something else, a freak. Don't you want to see, Nightmaster said, who you could really be if you just let go? Cassandra was young, 14 years old, and manipulated, half-starved. She didn't want to look at the scaly, shadowy hand that had grabbed her, and yet part of her knew that that was just an excuse. She wanted the power the Nightmaster was talking about, and so she agreed to become his apprentice. The first thing that they did was train her to use her abilities better. She thought that she could just move objects with her mind, but Nightmaster showed her that she had complete mastery over space for 100 feet. I can, Cassandra said, lifting a giant 18-wheeler over her head. It's just an illusion in your mind, Nightmaster said, tapping at Cassandra's chakra in her forehead. Keep focusing, Nightmaster said, and Cassandra looked at the truck above her. Her nose started to bleed. I'm gonna drop it, Cassandra said. It is just a limit in your mind. Don't think about the weight of the truck. Think, I am the queen of my domain, Nightmaster said, smiling. Cassandra tried. I am the queen of my... The truck started to wrinkle and crumple. The giant 18-wheeler was Cassandra's puppet, ready to move as she wanted. She molded it into a metal flower. It was gigantic and beautiful. Yes, Nightmaster said. Yes, but Cassandra fainted. The giant flower fell down, ready to crush Cassandra's head, and the last thing that she saw was Nightmaster straining, two giant shadowy arms grabbing the flower, saving her life. Cassandra looked up at Nightmaster, but he shook her head. Weakness, Nightmaster said. Weakness will not be tolerated. He made her sleep in the concrete room alone for weeks after that. Cassandra thought about everything the Nightmaster had taught her so far, about how every limit she had in her mind was fake, and she could become something more. She reached out on both sides. She tried to push with all of her might, and the concrete room crumbled. She flew to the surface where Nightmaster sat on a lawn chair, watching her fall down. I can fly, Cassandra said. Nightmaster smiled a big smile. Are you ever going to be weak again? Nightmaster said. Are you ever going to depend on anybody again? No, Cassandra said. Years went by. She aided Nightmaster in his work for the cause. They walked through shadows between places. There were times where Nightmaster asked Cassandra to move things with her telekinesis. They entered a mountain full of men that could move as fast as light, but nobody even knew that they were there. They stole technology so powerful and used it to work on something. This, Nightmaster said, constructing it with giant arms made out of shadow. This will change the world, Nightmaster said. Cassandra wanted to ask him what he was building with all that technology, but at the same time, she was the strongest she had ever been. She thought about her parents, the world, everything that she was supposed to be doing, and she realized she didn't miss her old life. She was becoming something new, something powerful, something that nobody could touch. The concrete room, a new one in the middle of the desert, was invaded in the middle of the night. Get her! A voice said. Cassandra's eyes widened. She knew that voice. The Defender, most powerful superhero on Earth, was flying right towards her in his gray costume. Cassandra could only scream for a moment when the Defender put his hand over her mouth and flew into the sky. She looked down to see Nightmaster's shadowy hands flying after them, but Defender was flying away up into the sky. Are you okay, sweetheart? Defender said. We've been tracking him for weeks, but Cassandra screamed, pushing the Defender away from her in the sky. Defender flew back, shocked, as Cassandra flew down towards the desert, into the shadowy arms of Nightmaster. They walked into the shadow realm between worlds. Nightmaster was panting, exerting himself. What's wrong? Cassandra said. Yeah, Nightmaster said. Nightmaster made a horrible sound, a choking sound. What's wrong? Cassandra said. It's nothing. I'm just getting us away from him. Give me a second. And Cassandra saw that Nightmaster had limits, too. His shadows were incredibly powerful, and yet something about where they were, maintaining the void of the shadow realm between them and the Defender, it was really taxing him. Nightmaster brought them to a beautiful view in the mountains, overlooking a forest. No human hands have touched this packet of the world, Nightmaster said, limping towards a rock that he sat on. Cassandra sat next to him. She felt for him. Are you hurt? Cassandra said. Nightmaster turned and looked at her, shaking his head. You must not pay any mind to me. I am developing the weakness of old age, Nightmaster said. He touched her face. Cassandra smiled. You will be greater than I ever was, Nightmaster said. You will show these heroes, telling everybody that they're the same as us, just how wrong they are. Nightmaster smiled, but Cassandra saw there was a gash in his costume. His bones were broken. Something about the fight with the Defender had weakened him, made him weak. And Cassandra knew that one day Nightmaster expected her to kill him. Kill him the way that he talked about killing. And yet, Cassandra looked at her hands. They vibrated with telekinetic energy. You will kill, Nightmaster said, reading her thoughts, even though he didn't have that ability. Cassandra looked up at him. You must kill, Nightmaster said. It's the only way that we change anything. Cassandra tried to say that her hands were vibrating with telekinetic energy, but really they were just shaking. Nightmaster finished his machine. It was a glowing, vibrating thing, made out of metal and giant tubes. This is it, Nightmaster said. The cure to all the incompetence. Cassandra saw a reading on Nightmaster's machine. It had a figure on it. 7.9 billion. Is that? Cassandra said. Yes, Nightmaster said. Every single person on Earth without superpowered abilities. All I have to do is... Cassandra waved her hand. Nightmaster blasted against his machine, crashing into it. In surprise, he turned around and shot shadows at Cassandra, but she was able to fly out of the way. I won't let you do it, Cassandra said. She knew what he meant to do with that machine. His cause that he had been trying to do this whole time. The reason why the Defender was going after him. You want to kill everybody without superpowers? Cassandra said. Nightmaster floated in front of her. My dear Cassandra, Nightmaster said, you've only been training for a couple months. Either you do what I say, or... No, Cassandra said. She reached out with telekinetic energy, but Nightmaster's shadows were on her before she could do anything. They were down her throat, spreading her arms and legs wide as Nightmaster walked towards her with all the time in the world. He made a blade out of shadow, ready for her heart. And Cassandra saw that he had tears in his eyes as he was going closer and closer to her. I thought that you would understand, Nightmaster said, looking at her in the eyes. You were supposed to be the most powerful ruler of this new age that I would create. He walked up to her, step by step by step. I don't have any more time now, Nightmaster said, holding his broken ribs. I'm dying, and I just... You're dying? Cassandra said. Her arms and legs were spread, yes. Nightmaster had the knife of darkness, yes. But Cassandra could still fight. Then why don't you die now? Cassandra said. She screamed, and Nightmaster's body simply evaporated. It evaporated into human dust. The shadows fell away as if they'd never existed. And all that was left was Cassandra and Nightmaster's machine. Even though he was gone completely, Cassandra was shaking. He had shown her how to use her mind, how the field all around her was just an illusion, and she was queen. And yet, the one person that truly understood her was never, ever going to come back. Cassandra looked at the machine. She knew how to activate it with one press of a button. She could realize Nightmaster's dream that he had been fighting for his whole life. Cassandra waved her hand. The machine broke apart into little pieces, as if it never, ever existed.